Alright, response video to Hythloday. I'll tie all these together. They will be 90-second segments. The idea here was to argue 90 seconds on a single point that you found a flaw with, either a premise or the end result argument, which was a collation of the conversation so far. So these were statements that had been accepted. Suffering is bad. Individuals are qualitatively the same, substantially the same, and now this was the end question. What I wanted was an answer to the last question, not the first question, because you'd already accepted those premises. The point is also, again, just to argue if you're going to argue, you can only argue one at a time. You can't argue all of them at the same time in 90 seconds. That would be impossible. Alright, so anyway, here's 90 seconds on the first point, all feeling. So we'll do 90 seconds on that one, and then we'll move on to the others.
This all feeling experience creates a value reality. That is, feeling creates value. A significant event reality, same as that reality. A in and of itself bad, degraded, or good, upgraded event reality. So those are three descriptors.
This description, as Inmendham puts it, is a vague, blunt, ambiguous assertion.
Okay, so vague, blunt, ambiguous assertion. I probably should just do 90 seconds on those words. And the following, I probably should have to write down his argument and make a counter argument, so never mind. Starting now. So that's just an accusation about the messenger. It's not explaining how the message is wrong. So you to say it's vague is idiotic. It's explicitly saying feelings create value. There's nothing vague in that. We all have feelings. We can all. I've already done the cupcake nail and eye argument. It's quite obvious these are not ambiguous things. It's not vague. It's not arbitrary. It's not ambiguous. No, it's quite explicit. It's saying the value of everything in the universe is based on the fact that it affects a sentient organism when they feel. His next statement is worth a comment.
All feeling experience creates, insofar as it does create things, it creates motivations to action and thought.
Okay, so motivations to action and thought is the important part. So our action matters, what we feel doesn't matter. So he's basically saying a reflex where my arm would move and I wouldn't feel any pain whatsoever. That motivation to action is the same, okay, as a torturous, suffering feeling nail and eye. So the feelings are irrelevant. All there is the action. I'd say, based on my conscious experience, I would say that's ludicrous. That the thing that's most important, most visible to me, most apparent, unescapably obvious, is the magnitude of the sensations. And I almost could care less what the reaction to them was when I'm having the feeling. So I'd say that's just on its face nonsense from my personal experience as a professional consciousness. Yes, I learned by being conscious, and I've learned that the feelings are everything, and the reflexive action is who fucking cares. Yeah, enough on that one. Alright, next. Yeah, let's see, I gotta paraphrase him. I don't want to break this video into pieces, so yeah, well, never mind. We're just going to do a response.
Being logic rolls of dice's statement, suffering is that which ought not to exist. That's being proposed as a truth if you have a counter argument. So those are the premises.
Again, another blunt assertion.
Okay, well, look, it's his blunt assertion, all right? So these are premises you accepted in the conversation. I mean, I don't know what to say, all right? You've accepted them and now you're not accepting them. So I can't, you have to have a consistent position. Either you're going to accept them for the sake of argument or you're not going to accept them for the sake of argument. So if you want to argue them, fine. Now we're right back to whether suffering is bad or not. You're saying suffering isn't bad. I'm saying there's no way you're going to tell me there's not a huge value difference between cupcake and nail in my eye. So what's the point? You're saying my consciousness is different than everybody else's consciousness, but you're saying I can say it's valuable when it happens to me and it's not valuable when it happens to them. Well, what the hell is that? That doesn't make any sense. All right, well, that's 90 seconds-ish.
Which there can be no counter-argument because it's not argued for. It's a blunt assertion.
Well, I just don't understand. Blunt assertion doesn't mean anything. It's not a, yeah, you want to say that somehow you don't have an explanation of how it's wrong. Fine. To call it a blunt assertion just doesn't mean anything. And it's clearly not just blunt. It's a specific statement saying there's ought tied to this idea of the negative existing. If the negative exists, it ought to be fixed.
It actually begs the question of the question which we as ethicists would like to debate. What?
Well, this is interesting. So the the negative isn't the thing about ethics that needs debating. Oh, I understand. Sure, that makes sense.
It constitutes an ought. That is, any reasoning from this point will necessarily be circular because you've began by stating what the ought is.
Yeah, that's I don't know. That again is a precondition of the previous conversation. So I guess you don't get it. This is a analysis of the steps we have taken so far in this conversation, and what you're really supposed to explain is what the good reason is to treat same things differently. Why should same things be treated differently?
The thought experiment would be X and Y are generally identical, same entities. X and Y are suffering the same. You can alleviate both the suffering of X and Y. That means it'll cost just as much to do one as the other, and you can do both. You're not short of funds to fix both problems. You choose only to alleviate the suffering of X. What good reason could make reasonable this lack of action regarding the suffering of Y?
Again, this is question begging. You're assuming that I have the obligation to present such an argument.
Well, you have an obligation, right? Ask the direct question. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm saying, how can this hypocrisy... I'm saying there's a hypocrisy and a duplicity, and if you don't explain it, there will remain a hypocrisy and a duplicity that hasn't been explained. So, yeah, that's your obligation. I don't understand how you can evade that obligation. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. You're a hypocrite. That's my accusation. Explain how you're not, please, because all the evidence indicates you're a hypocrite. You are treating A different than B. A and B are the same. How is that not hypocrisy? It's a perfectly reasonable fucking inquiry.
And this may well be founded upon the assumptions which you've already impressed on us at the beginning.
Well, now you're just resorting to the fallacy of I'm going to just keep going back to the other issues when I'm dealing with this issue. So again, this is your circular crap. This is your catch-22. I'm going to change the fucking subject. Okay, well, I can't do anything about you wanting to change the subject except eliminate all the premises from the question and just ask the question all by itself in isolation, and then the question won't have any meaning. So let's not establish the conditions of the question, because as soon as I ask you to answer the question, you're just going to go back to the conditions of the question and argue them, even though those are things you're supposed to have said you agree with, or you accept for the sake of argument. You can't do this and call this fucking arguing logically. Catch 20 Hythloday.
Which have already been objected to.
So why are you...
So again, so he just resorted to question one. He just evaded the goddamn question. So the most important fucking question on the goddamn... the most important question, he just evaded it. I'm not answering.
Not treating them the same. Ought not same things be treated same? Why ought not same things get same? And so that's the question.
This can also be viewed as a miscomprehension of where the burden of proof lies. It is yourself that is implying that that same must be treated same. You have to...
I'm not implying it. I'm saying that's logical. Yes, same ought to be treated same. It's a logical statement. Sameness deserves sameness. That's the logical statement. Sameness deserves sameness.
Reasons to believe that truth.
Reason to believe the truth that same deserves same. That the word same doesn't mean anything if you don't receive same. If you're not treated as a same, then the word same obviously doesn't mean anything. Correct? If two things are the same and they are not treated the same, then they can't be the same. Yeah. They're not getting same entitlement. The entitlements of same, the category of same, being put in the category of same, somehow isn't getting them same. That means there has to be a problem with their being in that category. They're either not same, or the word same doesn't mean same. Anyway, I'll have to edit this in the end somewhere, but obviously the idea is to just keep the responses brief and to the point. So screw the 90-second thing for now, but I'm just saying brief, 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 brief. Really brief, really quick. Do it quick, 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 quick. Answer questions and quit evading.